Good morning, everybody. Some friends asked if I would record a tutorial for Hearts of Iron. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Letting the game load up there. Okay, initialize the game, cool. Okay, so we're going to do a new game. We're going to play as the Soviet Union. Now, I just want to point out that this is not going to be a tutorial on how to play the Soviet Union. I'm going to focus on just the basics of playing the game. So, all right. You're probably sitting here thinking, okay, what do all these buttons do? So let's start to go through some of them. So over here we have your flag, all right? Q is the shortcut to open that. You get to see beautiful Stalin standing there looking all majestic. The first thing you see is you see the select a national focus. Now, clicking on that opens up your focus tree. This is different for every country, and every country you're going to have to learn how to play them. But let me point out some useful things on here. So for the Soviet Union, what we're going to do is again, this is supposed to be a tutorial on how to play the Soviet Union, but we're going to go basically historical path of Marxism, Leninism. Boom, we're going to do that. But let's take a look. So focus trees typically have focuses that kind of give you goals in the game. They also have ones that let you build up your industry and your military, and you can kind of see that. The Soviet one is a little bit complex. So this path here, we get some industry ones, we get Air Force, we get Navy, we get a lot of military ones. So if I search here for a research slot, I want to show that the effect, gain one research slot. This is important here. And where's the other one? The other one's over here. Gain one research slot. So you start the game with 3 research slots. Through your focus, this is how you get to 5. That's probably key. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So let's start clicking on all the buttons and seeing what they do. All right, so we have the decisions. These are different for every country. You spend political power, which is this, what we currently have 0 of. Political power is your currency to do political type things, which is a lot of things. If we click on your flag again, political power is how we do all of the stuff in here, basically. So here is your conscription law. This affects your manpower, which is currently, as the Soviet Union, manpower is not a problem. I have 1.25 million on volunteer only, but for smaller countries, manpower is a problem. You can't have military without dudes to get killed in battle. As you need to spend PP, right? It's going to cost 135 to go up to limited conscription, 270 to get to extensive. When you go beyond extensive, there's penalties. You could see construction speed goes down, factory output goes down, training time goes up. Training time goes up with extensive also. All adults serve, you get a lot of penalties and scraping the barrel. Don't go here. Game's lost if you go here. But keep manpower in mind. Don't expand this unless you start running out. The trade laws affect. I'm trying to think how much detail I want to go into. Why don't we talk about resources first? So I'm going to click on the trade button. The trade button isn't. So the trade button shows you the resources that you have. We got oil, we got aluminum, we got rubber, we got tungsten, we got steel, we got chromium. Now, what makes this game a little bit different is if we don't use it, we throw it into the ocean. So every day we extract this much in our country, right? Like we get 207 oil. Now, because of our trade law, which we were just looking at, we're actually exporting half of everything. Now, if nobody buys this, we're dumping it into the ocean, okay? So going back to your trade laws, you can see that we're on export focus. We could see that it says 50% goes to market. If we could switch to free trade where 80% goes to market, okay? We get bonuses, which are kind of cool. Construction speed, faster research, better factory output, right? And as we go down to limited exports, we see only 25% of resources go to market, which gives us more to use to make weapons. But we start to accrue penalties or have less bonuses. And closed economy lets us keep everything, but it blocks us off from using the market and from having people buy from us. So if people buy your resources, those act as getting more civilian factories. I didn't talk about those yet. But civilian factories also let you buy resources from other people, and civilian factories. Okay, so I'm clicking the construction button. Construction is this button. Construction shows that right now we have 46 civilian factories, right? If you hover over the factories, we could see right here that we have military factories, dockyards, and civilian factories. Okay, 30 of our factories are currently used for consumer goods. So when we talk about the economy, we talk about basically how many civilian factories we have available to be building things. When you look at the economy law, civilian economy is what a lot of countries start with. It sucks. It shows that 35% of your factories go to consumer goods. So if you start building a bunch of military factories, you're actually losing more civilian factories because it's civilian plus military times 0.35. That's the number of civilian factories you lose for consumer goods. That's making the toasters, right? You also see that there's you're not getting enough. You're not getting oil. Your fuel capacity is limited. Your construction speed is limited. Civilian economy sucks. So one of the first things you want to spend PP on is getting this to whatever you can get it to. In our case, partial mob. We're going to try to get it to war economy. War economy is a good time. There's no penalties for being at war economy. You want to be here. The blocking factor is war support, right? You got here, war support. We're currently at 40%. That's not terrible. We need to be at 50%. Raising war support can be tricky, though. Typically, you do that by going through your focuses, or you can, I'll show you what you can do if there's a war. Like right now, Italy is at war. You could send an attaché if there's an existing war, and that can raise some war support. There's decisions that can raise war support. Radio propaganda. You could use this once you invent radio, get you 5%. This utilized domestic film industry. This is also something you could use once. When you're at war, there's other options that pop up that can help here potentially. All right, what was I going on about? We were starting to talk about the economy. So civilian factories. What do civilian factories do? You can trade them for resources to other countries. You could use them to build stuff. That's important. Military factories. This builds all your stuff, all your equipment for your military. I'll show that in a minute. Dockyards, those build your boats. Synthetic refineries, those produce a small amount of oil and rubber if you can't get access to rubber. That could be kind of important. Fuel silos, you typically don't want to build those because it takes up building slots. We won't talk about a lot of the other things here. You see on the map here, you see 10 out of 12. This means there's already 10 buildings here. You could build 12, so we could build 2 things. This 80% is your infrastructure. That is this. Infrastructure is good to build early because under civilian economy, there's no penalty to building infrastructure. And building infrastructure can give a bonus to all the stuff you build in a state. So the more infrastructure you have, the faster you could build stuff. And there's other things that it does for you too. In states that produce resources, more infrastructure will increase the number of resources you get. Infrastructure will raise the speed that units will move through that territory. There's probably some other things I'm not thinking of right now. Okay. So one thing we can do early on is maybe find some place that has a lot of slots and increase the infrastructure there to start with. So let's take a look around. So here's a territory here in Stalino that has 6 slots, no buildings, 3 out of 5. Why don't we give that some, why don't we build infrastructure there? And you can see here, 15 factories are, this is the most that work on one project. We have 46, now 45 are in use because as we saw before, 30 are being used for consumer goods. Let's find another place that's good for infrastructure. So here's a really good spot for infrastructure. Why? Because we're producing 19 oil and 27 tungsten. All right, 1 out of 6. And we put 2 there. I'm gonna actually do that first. Now we can see that we're gonna get 5 more oil and 7 more tungsten just by building some infrastructure there, and some buildings that we'll build there are going to build faster. So now let's, when that completes, let's just build 5 civilian factories there, and we'll build 6 civilian factories in Stalino. So this is how we'll kick off the what we're building early in the Soviet Union. All right. Now let's take a look at research. So these notifications here can be useful to tell you what's going on or what options you have. So it says there's research slots available. You can click on this, but you could also click here on the research tab. I was talking earlier about slots. We start with 3. You can get up to 5. Things you should do immediately. Machine tools. You want to get your industry going first. Machine tools. What this does, production efficiency cap. That's basically like how much your factories are going to build of a specific thing. Raising that cap means your factories are more efficient. That's very good, but it also unlocks industry. And construction is super good because from this you get construction speed. So by investing in construction, you're going to build things faster. The other thing we're going to do in the beginning, we're going to go to engineering. So this is in the industry tab, the engineering tab. We got electronic, mechanical engineering. This unlocks good stuff, but it also gives you a research speed bonus. So why not do this early? Okay, so we're going to start with these things. The next thing you notice here, we have free military factories. You can click on this, or you can click on your production tab. And this is probably one of the things that's going to be overwhelming at first is what should I be producing? And that's a complicated question. So let's familiarize ourselves with production and logistics. So if you tap on the logistics tab, what this tells you based on all of the dudes that you have on the field and in training, how does your equipment match up? So we're short 11 artillery. That's not bad at all. We're short 1,000 guns. That's not great, but it's also not bad. So short 1,000 guns means what exactly? So we have unassigned divisions making up our military here. The Soviet Union starts with a pretty big army. Look at all these dudes we have. So we're pretty strong in the early game, but we don't have a tremendous economy, so we're going to get eclipsed by the Axis, and then, you know, the late game, obviously, we're going to make a big comeback and kill all the Nazis or whatever, but you could see hovering over here on the manpower. You can see that the military is currently 1.13 million people. If I go to recruit and deploy, this is another tab. This is how you create new divisions. If I say push the train button and then I add 8 divisions here, this exclamation point says I don't have enough equipment. Each one of these divisions needs 900 infantry equipment and 12 artillery. We go back to logistics. We can see that now we have a shortage of 107 and 8,200 guns. All right. So we have a bunch of military factories that are not assigned. We should get these assigned to doing things that's useful to us. We also can build other things. We want to start building anti-air. Okay. Anti-air is going to be useful. We'll start by putting 3 factories on anti-air, 3 factories, 4 factories on artillery. Let's get some more factories on support equipment. Let's get more factories on guns. Let's see what else we have. Ignore the boats for now. We are making some planes. Planes, it's very easy to not allocate enough to planes because you get super excited about building enough tanks and everything. But planes are really good. But let's see what we're building. So what is interwar large airframe? No. What does this look like? So this thing, it's a strategic bomber. We don't want to build these right now. Strategic bombers, I don't know. We can easily not deal with them at all. Basic small airframe. This thing is awful. It's got 2 light machine guns and the worst engine, but we could upgrade it. So let's build those for a while. And our basic medium airframe. This is a tactical bomber. This isn't the worst thing in the world to build right now. I'm going to click this button. Let's go into our small airframe. We click this button. So what this does is when we invent new guns or new engines and new things, or new airframes, this will auto upgrade. So that'll save experience. I'll explain what experience is in a minute. All right, so planes and trucks need rubber, and we are short on rubber. So what happens if let's increase production. Each one of these requires an additional rubber. We're now short 6. We are now short 8. So I'm going to need more rubber. So let's buy rubber from the Dutch East Indies. We're going to spend 1 civilian factory to buy 8 rubber. Now this will, when I advance time, this will go down to 0. We will have a sufficient amount of rubber, and we'll be producing. So if you don't have enough rubber, you could often still produce, like you could say you could see lack of resources, negative 7.5%. Here, lack of resources, negative 22.5. Here, negative 35%, right? Because depending on where you are in the queue is where you get priority. So like the basic small airframe is getting all of our rubber, which is 1 unit. Okay, and let's allocate some facts. So you can see these are gray because we don't have them yet. All our factories are allocated. We're gonna build some more guns. Okay, that's a very easy overview of production. So we talked about decisions. We talked about research. We talked about trade. We showed you how you can get more of a resource you need. We talked about construction. We talked about production a little bit, but not really. We talked about recruit and deploy. The other thing you can do here is configure your divisions. So click on edit, you can see what your division looks like. So each one of these represents a battalion. And these are your support battalions. So your mainline battalions increase your combat width. Support battalions don't. They just tack on stats. So support battalions are super important. Support artillery is fantastic. You can see, if I hover over remove, you can see the effect it does. You can see soft attack is the big one. Right now it's 69. If I remove it, it would only be 54. And this is at the cost of 12 artillery, right? So you add 12 artillery, you add a bunch of stats. You add defense, you add breakthrough, actually lose, you add piercing, you slightly reduce hit points. No, you gain hit points, but you lose organization. No, you get, oh, hold on, my brain. Removing it gives you more organization. So that's a penalty that you take by adding other, you lose org. I can start to explain how some of these work. So, your slowest battalion determines the max speed. 4 kilometers an hour is how infantry walks. Hit points. Hit points is kind of what it sounds like, but as you accrue damage, this proportionally affects each battalion. So if you have a lot of expensive battalions that have low hit points and you accrue damage, they will take the damage. You'll lose that equipment. Infantry typically has high hit points and is cheap. The same thing with motorized infantry, cavalry, that sort of thing. But something like adding artillery, barely, like adding an artillery battalion goes from 225.2 to 225.8. So that's basically nothing. But adding a truck goes from 225.2 to 250.2, right? So the benefit of adding artillery is you get way more soft attack. So that's hit points. Organization is the ability to stay in the battle. So as you're taking org damage, when org hits 0, you have to either stop attacking or you have to retreat. So higher org means the higher you stay in battle. it's important. Like, so infantry has high org. If you're getting attacked, you want to have high org. If you are attacking, it's less important, so long as you have a as long as you're like throwing tons of attack, so you're not taking damage and you have a lot of breakthrough. What else is important here? I can probably talk forever. So soft attack versus hard attack. This meter here shows the hardness of a division. If you have a lot of tanks, your division is going to be mostly hard. If you just have dudes, it's going to be completely soft. So the damage is done proportionally. If this division, which does 16 soft attack and 10 hard attack, attacks a division that is 50-50, 50% of the hard attack will be applied and 50% of the soft attack. So you could see that in that case, soft attack wins. In a soft division, soft attack wins. Only in a super hard division does the soft attack kind of get nerfed down to nothing and you rely on hard attack. It is very expensive to build a super hard division and the AI is not very good at it. So soft attack is king in most cases. Defense, if you're being attacked, you want high defense. You want your modified defense to be higher than whatever's attacking you is modified attack. Breakthrough is defense, but for when you're attacking. So right now you could see that a infantry division has decent defense, but terrible breakthrough. So when these guys attack, they cannot defend themselves. They will be taking tons of damage. So you do not want to attack with this division unless you have a huge advantage. You want, the way this game works is you want to have most of your divisions focus on holding the line. They're your defensive divisions. And then you want to have specific offensive divisions. So this armor division would be your offensive division. Tanks add breakthrough. So tanks also do a lot of attack. In this case, these tanks have a lot of hard attack, probably too much. This is not a great early game division. Armor versus piercing. Tanks or other armored battalions add armor. Like our infantry division has 0 armor and 4.4 piercing. Our armor division has 22.9 armor and 37.7 piercing. So this fights that infantry division. That infantry division does 4 piercing. That cannot pierce the armor because the armor is 22. So this division has a huge advantage. This has a lot of piercing, so this thing is fine up against a division unless it has higher than 37 armor, and then it won't be able to pierce it. So being able to pierce an armor division is useful. You can see that if we were to add, do we have anti-tank? Anti-air adds piercing. You can see it goes from 4.4 to 13.6. That's one useful way to get it. Adding an anti-tank support battalion is another way to get more piercing. You'll get tech bonuses that increase the piercing of your infantry. Yeah, okay. Click this to set location of where these will be deployed. Let's just deploy them there. Okay. Let's talk about defensive divisions again. Entrenchment. If you're sitting on the line, you're going to raise your entrenchment value. This gives you defensive bonuses. Very good. We talked about logistics. Let's go through all the other all the other things. Okay, so we got political power. We talked about that. This is where, again, you spend political power on a lot of things. Stability. Right now, our stability is terrible. You can see all these penalties. Trotsky is still alive. That's negative 20% of stability. You can see stability currently affects the amount of political power we get. It affects our factory output, our dockyard output, the resistance target, occupied territories. You want to have high stability. If you go on an offensive war, your stability takes a hit, and that's bad. Low stability is bad. War support, higher war support is good for mobilization speed, surrender limit, command power gain. Okay, we talked about manpower. This is the total number of factories you have. Fuel. So every day, some of your oil gets converted into fuel. Fuel is something that actually does get stockpiled. You can see your fuel capacity there. Your Navy is going to be probably the biggest consumer of fuel, but your Air Force, tanks use a lot of fuel. If you run out of fuel, you will, it's not as severe as it probably should be, but you will get penalties for everything that needs fuel. So be careful here. Logistics fulfillment. You want this to be at 100%. Currently it's not. Why? We don't have enough convoys and we don't have enough trucks. We do have enough trains. So if logistics fulfillment is low, that means we're not going to be supplying our units, and that is bad. So keep an eye on this. Make sure you have enough convoys. Make sure you have enough trucks and trains. That when we talk about combat, we'll talk about going after convoys, trucks, and trains and the effect that could have on the enemy. This is specifically for convoys. You can see what convoys are needed for. Right now for supply, you need 84, which is kind of a lie. So over here on the right, there's a bunch of map modes. We take a look at the supply map mode. So what is currently happening that for some reason the game thinks the best thing that you should do is supply from Leningrad to Vladivostok using convoys when we have a perfectly good Trans-Siberian rail system that can get it done. I don't know why, but let's try to fool it into, so here it has to cross through here. We're going to click on this. Again, this is in the supply map mode. We're going to say, no, thank you. Do not go through here. And then it's probably going to, I'm going to start time moving. It's probably going to reroute. It rerouted. No, don't go through here either. No, don't go through here either. All right, now what? Don't go through here either. And now it decided that the C route doesn't work. We are back up to 100% because we're using the trains. See, our trains needed went up. That's fine. We have a lot of trains. We don't have a lot of convoys. Convoys are risky. Trains really aren't. I don't know why the game defaults to Leningrad to Vladivostok. Convoys. That's weird. Whatever. If anyone knows a better way to deal with that, let me know. And if I'm saying anything that's wrong, I'm doing all this off the top of my head, feel free to call me a dumb asshole in the comments. All right, I'll learn from my mistakes. Okay, that's supply. Let's talk about these things here. Command power, Army experience, Navy experience, air experience. So your experience levels is basically everything that you have learned, that your military has learned over the course of the war. So the more experience you have, the more you could spend towards being better. And we already saw editing these divisions costs Army experience. Updating planes costs air experience. Updating ships costs naval experience. The thought here is, oh, we've learned things, and now we're going to apply them to building smarter divisions and smarter equipment and whatnot. So that's why you spend experience on those. The first things you should allocate experience to is your spirits, which are these things here. When we get some, I'll show you what to do there. To get more experience doing the military things in war will get it. Also having a chief of army, chief of navy, chief of air force, you need to spend PP to get them, right? But getting at least a chief of army early is super useful. Okay, we've been talking for a while now. We haven't done much of anything. Let's start to learn how to deal with your divisions. So this notification pops up. It says, hey, you have unassigned divisions. All right, you can click on it. You'll get different ones. Shift click, selects them all. Okay, here's all your divisions. Let's, if you double click on a division, it will select all the divisions of the same type. So here's our tank division, double click. We have 11 tank divisions. Let's now click here at the bottom, new army. And we're gonna assign a general to that army. How about you? Okay, so now we have a tank army, okay? Let's get cavalry. Okay, we get cavalry. Who's a good horsey guy? Let's assign, so we can search cavalry, all right? Get you. Okay, you're our horsey guy, cool. What else? We have these guys, we have these NKVD divisions. We're gonna make these are kind of like defensive divisions. What else do we have? Mountaineers. Yes, Mountaineers are good. Let's assign, actually Zhukov I probably should have made my tank guy. Do we have any Mountaineer specialists? No, we don't. What about you? You're a Mountaineer guy. Trucks, let's just put trucks in with the tanks. The rest of these are infantry divisions, 73 of them. You could see that by default, generals can handle 24 divisions. More than 24 divisions, they stop, they have penalties to their bonuses, and you want to get lots of bonuses. So I'm selecting this 73, S to split them in half, click on a new, S to split them in half, click on new. I'm gonna click on them all, I'm gonna do a new army group. I'm gonna put all these guys in an army group, okay? These are all infantry. I could even assign a field marshal, Now we have a field marshal in charge of an army group of infantry. We could now assign some generals. General. Okay. So let's talk about what a general does. You can see this general is level 3. That's what the skill is. This general has 2 points in attack. That gives a plus 5% to attack. So if you had a soft attack of 100, when this guy's attacking, that gets modified by 5% to 105. Defensive modifier, planning modifier, skill modifier. Click on your field marshal. You can see this field marshal has bonuses. These get cut in half, but they apply to everybody. So having a good field marshal, having good generals, they let you stack bonuses. That's very good. Generals have other traits. Field marshal traits. You need command power. I didn't talk about command power. Command power lets you do military things like promoting generals and assigning traits when they level up. Charismatic is really good. Recovery rate is how fast a division regains its org when it's outside of battle. So getting this up, getting a bonus there means it's they can get back into battle sooner. This guy can get guerrilla fighter, which is faster entrenchment, which isn't great. But you can see some of these, maybe you can get infantry expert, which will be really great. So you get experience, you could get infantry expert on these, get a bonus to attack. Infantry leader gets a bonus to defense. You want those. So how do you use your military? Let's say we wanted to, now you know what, how about this? Ethiopia is currently in a war with Italy. We would like to send volunteers to Ethiopia. We can send 2 divisions only. We can't send any air volunteers. So let's get 2 mountaineer divisions. Let's give a general that we would like to get some experience for. I don't know. How about, I don't know, just send Zhukov. And we're going to send volunteers to Ethiopia. Zhukov, get it done. Now, Ethiopia is going to say thank you. Okay. Ethiopia will allow volunteer force from our country to fight in their wars. Our troops are on their way to join the struggle. Okay. So that's cool. They're going to get over there. All right. Before they do that, let's talk about the Navy. So what I like to do is I like to group. So you click on Navy here, Navy map mode. You have a theater. For the Soviets, I'm going to group up all of our submarines. So here's what I like to do. I like to define a template called subs, make it consist of 12 submarines, hit save, okay. And then you could say that all of these are subs. It's a little bit of a cumbersome UI. Most of the UI in this game is cumbersome. But this means as your subs get destroyed, they will get resupplied by subs that are in your reserve fleet. And let's assign somebody. This guy's got Seawolf, so he gets a bonus to submarine attack. Perfect. So now we have our subs. I want to wait until these get all assigned. I want to create a fleet. Navy's pretty easy for the Soviets unless you want to try to do something tricky. The things you could do with Navy is kind of prevent naval landings in the Black Sea area. You could prevent naval landings up here, but I'm gonna focus on preventing Leningrad and the Black Sea. So I'm going to have 2 fleets, and I'm going to have my subs. So I'm going to call this Leningrad. I'm going to call this one, wait, is this the name of the, yeah. So this is going to be Leningrad Fleet. This should be Leningrad Task Force to be more correct. And this one will be Black Sea Task Force. We'll go back and fix that in a little bit. But what we can do here is start assigning these boats that we're building. Leningrad Task Force, Black Sea Task Force, Black Sea Task Force. Submarines we're not going to assign, but we're also not going to keep building all these crappy subs. We're going to build better subs. So I'm going to reduce these to just build the one finish the one you're making, and we'll build better subs. Put this on Leningrad Task Force. Okay. Okay. Why don't we now increase the speed things are going? Let's show what we're going to do in Ethiopia. It's not super exciting, but we're going to wait a couple of days for our volunteers to arrive in Ethiopia. All right, here we go. We got 2 guys. Let's assign a field marshal. So, a lot of buttons. Let's explain what the key ones are. I'm going to do a frontline order. I want my guys to just go right here and help hold this territory. Okay? So where are my dudes? They're right here. So here's our 2 Soviet Mountaineer divisions. They're gonna head up here. I give a frontline order, and they're gonna sit there on that front line. We want to stop the Italians from advancing as best we can. Slow moving across the mountains. Okay, now as this got pushed back, you could see the front line went all the way across. I think we're okay. There'll be 1 division in each of these territories. They'll help. We can see we just completed a focus. Let's go on and do the center. This will get us some political power to spend and some stability, which is always nice. We're starting to get a little bit of political power. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything exciting with that just yet. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to make these elite. This says that supply should fill in elite units first. Now, so here's a problem. The line just got too big because Italy took over Ausa. So I have to decide what I want to do with my dudes. Now there's no defenders here. So I'm going to get rid of this front line. I want to defend right here. I want to help out right here. And I'm actually like, why not just send a dude right in there if we can? We're really slow though. Let's take a look at the first combat we're involved in. So I'm going to click on this. We're not actually, oh wait, no, our division's here. So let's explain what we're looking at. Now, here's the Italians have 70 planes doing close air support missions. Those planes are going to, that's bad for us. The Ethiopians don't have any planes. What that looks like is Italians are going to get an air support bonus to their attack. You see that plus 10.4%. But they're also, so close air support does 2 things. It gives your units an attacking bonus, that air support bonus, and it directly does damage to the defending, or to the other side's divisions. You could also, so if you hover over, it looks like I have a ton of defense here, which I do. But there's a negative 27.2% penalty because Italy also has fighters projecting air superiority. So why don't we talk about planes a little bit? So I'm going to click on the strategic air map mode. The map is divided into these air zones. if I click here, it's basically, so I'm only seeing, it's hard to, we don't have any planes. They have planes. Those planes are doing close air support damage to our divisions. These are doing close air support. There should also be fighters doing air superiority because I'm seeing that penalty, but maybe if, I'm not sure why it's not showing up here. Mission efficiency is 100%. Air detection doesn't matter because we don't have any planes here at all. And I was not able to send air volunteers, unfortunately. So the good thing is, despite all this, we have a ton of defense. We're going to make it hard for them to push. The bad thing is there's only two of our divisions, and yeah, it's going to be rough. So they're attacking. They're attacking us. We came in to kind of save the day with our tons of soft attack versus their crappy division that is getting tons of, they're attacking into the mountain, getting huge terrain penalties. So that's going to help us out. That's going to help us out a lot. Now we have our division going in. Our defense now is super low because this is breakthrough, not defense. And we're getting a huge penalty because they have air superiority. That's going to break us. The planes are going to break us, and there's not much we can do. So I probably want to stop attacking because it's not going well. They have bad supply, though. You could see the little red boxes, but we've just lost. We've lost this, and now let's focus on just defending. All right. Let's take the war support bonus. Germany remilitarized the Rhineland. We got our focus completed. What else should we start doing? We can get infrastructure. We'll get some free infrastructure here. Cool. Okay. Why can't I? We need 50. Can't send an attaché just yet. Turkish thing done. No biggie. All good. Italians are pushing in. That's bad. Can we do something about that? Why didn't they move a unit in there? Oh, there's a tank. Getting pushed. Bad news. All right, so this is a Soviet mechanic. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the Soviet mechanic. All right, cool. We'll get some more civilian factories with this. We did our research. Now we can do more research. Mechanical computing is good. Get your research speed going. Excellent. This is the rubber we imported. You can see we're importing 8 rubber. We're building things. Let's talk about advisors. So political advisors typically cost 150 pp. They're very good. You don't want to sit around with tons of PP when you could be adding military advisors like Khrushchev here, gets you political power gain and some other stuff. Captain of industry, you get construction bonuses. This guy gives you stability. You'll need to do some some focuses to get some of these other advisors. Military staff. There's also the high command, which is really just to give you bonuses. Like we may want concealment expert, right? So that'll affect the air support bonus that the enemy gets. Armor genius is really awesome. Getting that to do the counterattack against the Germans will be cool. The industrial concern, again, this costs PP, this gives you bonuses. This one, industrial research speed, that's cool. The Soviets get a special one that you need to focus to unlock. This one is awesome. And we'll unlock that later, potentially. I'm not going to go into the Mayos. I'm going to ignore that for now. Theorist, this will give you, these typically give you bonuses for your doctrines. Let's talk about doctrines. So the first thing you should spend your experience on is your spirits. Fill out your spirits and then start filling out your doctrines. There's a doctrine for land, navy, air, and there's also special forces. So we have those mountaineer divisions. Here's bonuses that will affect just mountaineers, and these can be really good. Doctrines cost experience, and they give you bonuses to your military based on how you typically want to use them. Most games, you're like, you can't go wrong with superior firepower in most situations. Mobile warfare, you could do the blitzkrieg thing. There's a lot of good stuff for tanks, but superior firepower has good stuff for tanks too. Grand battle plan, there's some bonuses for a lot of planning bonus. Grand battle plan is fine. Mass assault, Soviets start with it, probably not bad. You can a lot of bonuses to like your ability to keep guys on the front line. There's yeah, and we can go through some of these things. Grand battle plan. Switching to grand battle plan is bad because the very first one, trench warfare, gives you some good bonuses. You get more entrenchment, you get better entrenchment speed, you could hold the line much better. Infantry bonuses are good. We don't really need mass mobilization with the Soviets. Deep battle then would be the way to go if you wanted to stay on mass assault. Against the AI for your air doctrine, battlefield support's really good because there's a lot of CAS bonuses, and CAS is great, as we discussed with Italy. For Navy, fleet and being is battleships, trade interdiction is subs, base strike is carriers. They're all fine. Navy's the least important. In multiplayer is where you really care about countering things against the AI. The AI can't do Navy. You could easily beat them up. But that's the main place you want to invest experience to improve your military. All right, Ethiopia's not going well, but that's okay. We're just volunteers in this one. Okay, why don't we, all right, let's, all right, so this is Leningrad. This is going to be the Black Sea Fleet. So if we take our task force, this one, the Black Sea Task Force, we're gonna click on the task force and then right click to tell them to go here. That's where they're gonna hang out. The Leningrad bros are gonna hang out in Leningrad. The subs, it doesn't matter. So sea zones are like air zones. If you want to, I'll wait until they arrive. What was if I attack? They have bad supply. It's tough to attack. So we deorged and we're retreating, but we're going to come back. Heavy industry. Let's keep going down this. For the Soviet path, you got to keep Stalin's paranoia in check. Okay, we got one division. This is from the divisions we started making. Let's just put them with our infantry guys. All right, let's see. So we have a fleet here. We have our Black Sea Fleet. When we are, when a war starts, we want to just do strike force, project naval superiority into the Black Sea. For these guys, the Leningrad ones, strike force, project naval superiority here. This will hopefully prevent Germany from doing naval invasions. For our subs, convoy raiding. Find places where you think Germany is going to try to supply and do convoy raiding. You sink convoys, you affect supply, you can more easily kill dudes. I'm going to turn all these off now. Okay, let's talk about airplanes. So here's the airplanes that you start with. If you want to, there's a quick deploy button that makes this easier. So let's do fighters and tactical bombers. You push this button, you can deploy a air wing. It'll fill out to 100 fighters. Fighters, you want to use the air superiority air mission. So here we are. You want to select this air zone. Now you can see this is your fighter's radius. This kind of sucks. This means that their efficiency of projecting air superiority is limited to the amount of area that they overlap with this air zone. Here it'll be terrible, but if we move them someplace more central, it'll be better. So go there, right? Go there. Okay, that's a little bit better. But we can get better planes that have more range. So fighters project air superiority, close air support, or tactical bombers, you would put on close air support. Close air support, rather than projecting air superiority over an air zone, their radius has to actually cover the battle that they will be adding air support to. Okay. I know that's a little brief on planes. What else should I cover? Intelligence agencies. You might not start with one. You want to create it. You will get spies. Spies can do spy missions. I think this is already going on long enough. I'm not going to talk about spy missions. The international market allows you to buy or sell equipment. You pay in civilian factories, or you get paid basically construction bonuses to whatever you're trying to build. Covered production, we covered. So when you're thinking about if you should be deploying more units, consider your logistics. Do you have enough equipment and manpower to support more divisions? Here we're very low on guns, so the answer would be no, and tanks. You want to have some surplus here because you're going to lose equipment as you're fighting. You want to make sure that your production can keep up with the amount of equipment that you're losing. What else? What else is worth talking about? Did I cover everything here? Okay, we got machine tools. All right, we can talk a little bit about industry. Concentrated versus dispersed. The industry path, one of the benefits it gives you no matter what is more factory slots in your states. So that's great. It's the same for both. Dispersed, you get some bonuses to getting bombed, so that's cool. But the main thing is dispersed is a little bit better if you're going to be changing your production, but concentrated gives you raw, better numbers. Like every level of concentrated gets you 15% factory output versus every level of dispersed gets you 10% factory output along with the other things you're getting. If you're going to get bombed a lot, dispersed is going to be helpful because getting bombed will nuke your efficiency, and then dispersed is about getting that efficiency back faster. Late game, concentrated is good. Like Soviets, I would do concentrated, honestly, to just let those factory output bonuses stack, and you know what you're kind of going to be building late game, and you could roll. Most of the time you want dispersed, I would think. I'm going to go with concentrated. Let's talk about some other research. Guns just gives you passive bonuses a lot, so take these. Artillery, you really want to be working on all this stuff for the most part, because this is also going to get you upgrades for your tanks. For the I could talk about Navy for an additional hour. I'm not going to talk about Navy. For air, range improvements. This will increase your radius. Very good. Survivability studies. If you can get self-sealing fuel tanks and you can support it with rubber, that's very good. But there's also armor plates. Those are good. You want to get the better guns when they become available. So research is gated by time. Like you can see, if I wanted heavy machine gun, it is 2.5 years ahead of time, right? So if you want to research these things ahead of time, there's a huge penalty. There's some focuses that could mitigate that, but you want to be researching current or old tech to not take those huge penalties unless you have a specific reason to do it. Tank stuff. Light tanks kind of suck, but they're fine. Medium tanks, you can get much bigger guns on. Heavy tanks against the AI is probably a waste. But medium tanks done right can be nasty. Support companies, this will represent a lot of the support battalions you can get. Engineers are great for defense. Level it up to just get better defensive bonuses for your engineer companies. They cost support equipment, which can be kind of expensive. When you occupy territories, you have a law. If you're a communist, you want to set this thing to liberated workers, because liberated workers is awesome. You get more local factories and resources, but depending on what your goals are, the default military governor is very meh. You might want to put it on civilian oversight so you get the most bonus to compliance. Or you want to do something like either forced labor to get the most resources, or harsh quotas to get the most factory bonuses in places where you're not going to be there for a long time, like building up compliance. Think like Germany conquering Poland. You don't want to have civilian oversight. They're just going to kill all your dudes. For your garrison division, you should pick just a cavalry division at first. And you could add military police to that. So add military police to a cavalry division, and that's plenty good. Some more division management stuff. You put your guys on a front line with the front line button. You want to set up an offensive line. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to make a push. Our goal is to get here. Now, what happens when you do this? You can control these units manually, right? You can select them and click them and they'll go somewhere, but you could let the AI direct all of your units. Now, if we look over at your units here, you could see this bar represents how entrenched they are. You could see you get a 16% defensive bonus. That's cool. That's higher than what it says the max is. While they're sitting here on a front line with a offensive line order, they're going to start gaining planning bonuses. While this planning bonus is in effect, they're going to get big bonuses. So you want to set up a front line, you want to wait as the planning bonus comes in, and then you want to push this arrow to start executing that front line. So let's let some time go by. You'll see the planning bonus start to tick up, like you see this. And then if I push the button, they should attack. Like right now they are, actually, why don't you go here? There's nobody there. Oh, now there is. I kind of screwed that up. So now they're going on offense, and they're not attacking anyone now because they got whooped pretty hard. But that's okay. So we can click this to stop the attack because we're failing. All right. All right. I think this covers some of the basics. There's a lot more to this game. I have enough political power that I should do something useful with it. One of the things it's not a bad idea is to get on partial mob. Why don't I, there's some tricks to get to war economy. Why don't I show off a trick to get to war economy and show what that does is kind of the last thing I'm going to do. So let's start building some more civilian factories. I want to build a couple civilian factories, or maybe some, where's a good spot for some infra maybe? So let's see. I'm going to build some civilian factories right here, okay, and here. So this is our building queue. Let's keep that going. And I want to improve my. All right, here we go. National Spain has declared war on Spain. So I want to. They will not accept. I want to improve relations with Spain. And I want to send an attaché as soon as they let me. I also want to send volunteers. Radio's good. They will accept. All right. So we're going to get 10% war support just by sending an attaché. We're also going to get some experience from having an attaché present. So we're going to learn about how that war is going. Send it. Okay. We'll keep rolling with the Great Purges. Now, we have 223. So they're going to accept. Now we're at 57%. Now, that cost PP, though. So now I don't have enough to do the war economy. But hold on. Hold on. I want to send volunteers. We could send 6. And air volunteers, we could send 2. So let's get 6 divisions. 4, 5, 6. We're going to put them under Konev, sure, whatever, who cares. And we're going to go send volunteers. Where is he? Here he is. Send air volunteers. Yes. Okay. And I'll show you how air volunteers works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's get some tactical bombers and some fighters. So we were approved to send 2 air wings. So let's pick those 2 wings. And let's send them over. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to wait a second. Okay, so they arrived. And I can click here and I can see 2 out of 2. So these are volunteers. Let's wait for the other one to arrive. There they are. So I want to go to Madrid. I want to do air superiority and close air support. And let's provide support here. Now you can see it went from red to green. We have our dudes here projecting air superiority and bombing bad guys. Okay. Now our volunteers should show up soon. All right, we got our 6 divisions here. Let's give you a field marshal. Share you. And we're going to have you. Let's just have you go there. Let's set up a front line. Let's see what happens. So where are my boyos? My boyos are there. Now, the Spanish Civil War has a mechanic. Unplanned offensive. So it's up to the Spanish AI to spend PP to plan offensives. Otherwise, there's huge penalties. You can overcome some of those penalties by providing CAS, because CAS will do direct damage and isn't subject to those penalties. So that's what those tactical bombers I have here are going to be really good at. Our dudes are coming over slowly, cruising through Spain. All right, we're going to purge a bunch of dudes, Stalin style. Yeah, socialism in one country, whatever, cool. All right, we have enough political power. Let's see the difference here. So this is going to complete the 6th of November. Okay, civilian economy minus 30%. And we have 15 plus 7 factories. So we're going to switch it to war economy now. Remember that we sent the attaché to get above 50% war support. Now we can go war economy. Spend 150 PP to get to war economy. Now let's see. Now we have an extra 15 civilian factories because there's so many less getting put on consumer goods. On top of that, instead of the 7th of November, our next civilian factory will complete on October 22nd because we went from, we killed a 30% penalty. And there's, if we want to build a military factory now on war economy, there's a 20% bonus, whereas before it was a 30% penalty. So that was cool. That's a big first step in getting our economy going. Let's get these civilian factories built. Economy's going to be rolling. We're getting stuff from trade. So we're getting 7 military factories from trade. You can see that people are buying. We see who's buying what from us. Yeah, we're selling oil to China and Japan, but both of them. We're sending steel to a whole bunch of places. Yeah, and that will increase. Okay, our dudes are coming over. We still have green air. All right. Now let's just start rolling. Now you see we have our planes here doing damage to those enemy divisions. There's massive penalties happening because of this unplanned offensive. State, negative 90%. But it doesn't matter. As long as we stay into this fight and the cast damage happens, we'll push them back. See, like they're taking org damage mostly from the cast. They're not dealing any damage at all. They're going to get pushed back. Here we go, boom. And we're rolling. Ethiopia got killed. They're done. That's okay. That's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Let's see. To finish the 5-year plan, I need more factories. We're not there yet. We could start doing stuff like strengthen the mobilization plan. We get some more recruitable population. That's cool. Our volunteers came back. Here they are. They got experience. You can see, look, I got 40 army experience. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my first spirit. I'm going to get bold attack. So this is a bonus to when your generals level up. They get an additional 50% chance of +1 attack. That's awesome. That's good to get for your generals. That's a sweet one. I'm going to show now basic small airframe. Okay. I'm going to use the air experience we have to get better guns on this thing now. And I'm also going to assign Mayo, light aircraft, Get some defensive turrets on there. So let's talk about airplanes. Getting some level of air defense is really good, but air attack is king. You're going to shoot down other planes. Paradox tweaks the algorithm. At one point, agility was OP. Now it's down a bit. You basically just want to get air attack up as high as possible without sacrificing too much air defense to have a pretty decent fighter. Get more range if you can, depending on how you're going to use it. Well, everything in this game is depending on how you're going to use it and what resources you have. Like, we could stack air defense by putting on the rubber fuel tank mod, but if we're not making any rubber, it's going to be really expensive to get enough rubber to support that. All right, I'm going to save this. This is our new basic small frame. Too bad that I can't convert my existing small airframes. I don't know why that is. Like, why can't I? Is it the engine? No, it's not the engine. If anyone knows why I can't convert the existing airframes rather than only make new ones, let me know in the comments, because that would be useful. But anyway, these are much better than the other ones. One thing I'd probably do if I was playing the Soviets seriously is just stop making tanks and delete the tank divisions and sell all the light tanks to get more production bonuses, to more economy bonuses, and worry about offensive divisions later when it's time to do a counterattack. All right, so as you can see, we are kicking ass here in Spain, just doing a battle plan with our volunteers and our CAS. All right, I think that covers the basics of how to play this game, maybe. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got.